Let's do what we do some version of every summer, which is go through the best players in the NBA. So I did my newsletter on this a week ago. A week ago? No, like 4 days ago. Monday. Yeah. So it's not that long ago. And I did my current ranking of the best players in the league, but not as of this moment. I ranked them based on where I think they are going to be in the season ahead. So basically looking forward to the 2024-25 season, I basically did a ranking based on, okay, the 2024-25 season has ended. We are getting ready for the play-in games to start. Let's do a rank, like who are the top players in the league? My ranking is based on that assumption. Like what are we going to be thinking about 8 months from now or whereabouts? I figure we just go through the list, and I'm curious if you have any disagreements or think that I'm way off base.
I'm here. Let's co-pilot this. I got this.
Okay, so I don't think there's much controversy at the top. I have Jokic 1 and Luka 2. I think the most interesting discussion there is whether those two should be in their own tier, and then there should be some sort of a drop-off. I think there is another player who has an argument to be in this tier. And I should say, one other thing that I should say as a caveat, in doing this list, I factored in the not probability of injuries, because who the hell knows if someone's going to get injured, but if a guy has been injury prone, I factored that in. And perhaps more notably, if a guy has, I factored in the playoffs. Long story short, like I did not do this ranking based on, all right, it's a random Tuesday against the Hornets in February. Put all these guys on the floor against that team. Who's going to look the most impressive? I factored in when push comes to shove, who am I going to want in the fourth quarter of a big game? That factored in. So that's why I have Jokic and Luka 1 and 2. I have Giannis 3rd. Do you think Giannis should be in that same tier as those guys? Maybe is the first question we should start with.
I can already hear the why are you sleeping on Giannis text incoming.
I mean, he's 3rd on the list.
Yeah, but we're asking if he should be in the top tier. The notion that we even need to ask would be sleeping on him, even though I think it is a fair question.
So sorry, I keep throwing in caveats. I considered these players, for the most part, in the situation they're in, which is going to be notable coming up pretty soon when we get to Jalen Brunson, because Jalen Brunson is in a situation where he is the star, he is the sun, the planets orbit around him. It allows him to be the best version of himself. Meanwhile, like, if you just gave the Boston Celtics Jalen Brunson, I mean, it's going to sound insane, but like, are we sure the Celtics would want to start Jalen Brunson, and disrupt their switchable, switch everything starting lineup where everybody's can defend and the whole thing? I know it sounds insane.
You threw me off on that one. Jalen Brunson would start on the Celtics. I know what you're saying.
It's an extreme example. Like, yes, he would obviously start on the Celtics, but again, it's game 5 of a 2-2 series against the Sixers, and Philly's pulling Jalen Brunson into every pick and roll on the defensive end, and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have it going. Is there some tension about, maybe we should take Jalen Brunson off the floor right now? Like, it's that sort of conversation. Maybe we should have Derek White in there instead. Like, that conversation is never going to happen on the Knicks, and that's the situation Jalen Brunson's in. That is the situation that I'm considering him for when I make this list. The reason I'm bringing this up with Giannis is Nikola Jokic. You could put Nikola Jokic on any team and surround him with any roster. He's going to be great. Luka Doncic, same thing. I think we've reached the point, especially the way the game is now, where you're so limited in terms of how many non-shooters you could have on the floor at one time. Doesn't Giannis kind of need to play with a stretch 5? And I think that's an important caveat. And I think it needs to be factored in when you're doing these rankings, because if you consider him in the situation that he's in, where he gets to play alongside Brook Lopez or gets to play alongside Bobby Portis, or who are two guys who could space the floor for him, he looks unstoppable because there's no one clogging the lane. If you put him alongside a more traditional center, is he, I mean, he's still awesome, but does he look like a guy who's a top, like 1 to 2 player in the sport on any given night? I don't know.
You don't think that Jokic needs, like, I mean, look, we'll find out this year, but
I think Jokic is the most, I think you could argue that Jokic is the most versatile in terms of put him on any roster and he'll make it work. Like, what does he need to be successful? What type of player?
I got to point out, outside of the year that they went to he's never made it to a conference finals without Jamal Murray. I'm not saying Jamal Murray is the thing he needs.
So you're saying he needs a great number 2? Okay, great. What player doesn't need a great number 2?
Okay, but that is, we're demeriting Giannis because he currently has a stretch 5 when...
No, I again...
Are you saying play style wise, there's nothing that you necessarily need?
If like Jokic was, if we were in a situation with Jokic where we're like, well, this guy's never going to be able to win anything because he's a center and he's not great defensively, and you need to surround him with an ecosystem of all NBA level defenders at the, multiple all NBA level defenders. His team won the title without that. Jamal Murray is not a great defender. Michael Porter Jr. is not a great defender. KCP is a very good defender. Aaron Gordon's a very good defender, but he held his own. Like, he did what he needed to do on the defensive end of the floor to make that ecosystem work. He, like, the same thing with Luka. Like, Luka doesn't need anything. You put Luka on a team with a ton of shooting, you put Luka on a team with no shooting. Like, he's going to be able to figure out ways to make that team successful. I think Giannis is more situation dependent than those guys. If this is all being graded on a scale. And if those guys are a 10 out of 10, Giannis, in terms of adaptability to any roster, might be a 9 or a 9.5 out of 10. I think that matters here.
So the first tier is the only 10 out of 10s. Like that's only we're putting on the first tier. It's 10 out of 10.
I think that's not to say that those are the only 2 players, the only 2 stars in the league who could fit with any surrounding cast. I just think there are 3 players at this level in the league, and it's the 3 guys that I just mentioned. One of them is maybe a little bit more dependent on being on a certain type of roster than the other 2. That's all I'm trying to say.
I hear the argument. I think I even agree with it. I just wonder if it's enough to say Giannis isn't on the same tier as Jokic and Luka, Then make them tier 1A and put him in tier 1B, and then after that, it's tier 2. Yeah, that's fine. I think he's on the same tier. I agree with you about the roster construction. I also think you need, we're going to find out this year what you need around Luka, if taking away good defenders around him will matter.
Well, I don't think we're going to find out this year. I think we're going to find out in May, probably.
Well, when you take him off the team?
No, I'm saying I think the Mavs and Luka have now gone past proving anything in the regular season. I don't think what they do in the regular season matters anymore.
So isn't Giannis there too?
Sure. Yeah. I think that's fair.
So then Giannis is on this tier.
Whatever. It's fine. You want to put him on the same tier. You want to put.
I don't get if we're doing you need to write the right roster.
I was arguing more semantics, like what. Like the regular season, like some teams, what they do in the regular season is not going to matter because it's all about the playoffs for them. I think Luka
doesn't only matter about the playoffs for the Bucks.
Yes, because you're right. They are so dominant, and he is so good, and Dame is so good, and they have enough, Middleton, like they have, and they're well coached. I think so, at least. That if you replace the Bucks.
You thought last season was a well-done coaching job?
I did not think last season was a well-coached team. I think they will be well-coached this year. Now you put Doc in, give him a training camp and the whole thing. Look, we're getting off base here already. My point is, if you replaced Brook Lopez with Mitchell Robinson tomorrow, do I think the Bucks would still figure out a way to win 50 or more games? Absolutely, I do.
But
I think in the playoffs, you're right, is where that would matter more. Okay, let's move on.
I hear you.
Because
Giannis
this is
on this tier.